This is set 4 of the flashcards. Please follow the flashcard sets. We are putting a lot of effort to simplify things for residents and students and younger consultants. Majority of these flashcards in set 4 are neuro based, and majority of them have been contributed by Dr. B. Surendra Kumar, who has more than 16 years of experience in radiology. He is presently working as a consultant in Seven Hills Hospital. He has many faculty lectures and publications to his credit. Thank you very much, sir, for contributing for radiology case videos. Hope you will contribute more in future. Thank you. Let's discuss about the first case. These even weighted sagittal images showing a well-defined cystic lesion in the posterior fossa, which is in relation with the vermis, which is communicating in the fourth ventricle. Here the cyst is not communicating with cisterna magna. These are all the classical features of Blake-Sporth cyst. Blake-Sporth cyst is formed due to persistent cystic evagination of area membranaceae under the inferior vermis in cerebellar valleculae. This posterior fossa cyst we can diagnose confidently when there is a normal vermis and there will be normal torcular position. The cyst communicates with fourth ventricle via valleculae. However, it does not communicate with cisterna magna. So these are the classical features. So this is evagination of area membranosa and normal position of torcula with normal vermis are the classical features. Here, coming to another case, there is a intracellular and supracellular cystic lesion which is predominantly T2 hyperintense, which is showing a hypointense content within. In FLAIR also you can appreciate the subtle hypointensity. This is the classical Rathke-Cleft cyst with dot sign. Rathke-Cleft cysts are nothing but embryonic remnants of Rathke's pouch. It shall be differentiated from macroadenomas, which are common intracellular lesions, by this classical dot sign. This is an unusual case where you can appreciate normal T2 weighted brain parenchymal image with hypertrophied temporalis muscle. In this case, there was also hypertrophy of masseter muscle, which is not shown in this image. So this diagnosis is Minotaur syndrome. Minotaur syndrome is nothing but whenever there is hypertrophy of bilateral temporalis and masseter muscles in forming a pseudomass-like appearance in anxious individuals, when it is coarsening the facial features and demorphing it, you call it as Minotaur syndrome. So this is simple case where you can see a ossified lesion in the external auditory canal. Compared to the right side, this is the left external auditory canal. There is stenosis, bony stenosis. So this is a classical case of external auditory canal osteoma. You should differentiate it with case of external auditory canal exostosis, where there will be multiple level stenosis as compared to single level stenosis here. Next case, this is a congenital variant. There is a communication of torcula with the sigmoid sinus directly when the vein is running posteriorly along the occipital bone. In our case, it is bilateral. So such appearance is called occipital venous sinus. We should always, the tributaries are from marginal sinus of the foramen magnum. They connect both sigmoid sinus and vertebral venous plexus. It is important in surgical point of view whenever there is posterior fossa approach, because accidentally they may damage these sinuses. It's worth a note to mention these sinuses whenever you are reporting a posterior fossa mass or a condition where it requires posterior fossa decompression. Another anatomical variant, a relatively commoner one, where you can appreciate a carotid system communicating with basilar system. This hypertrophied artery here. You can give here in MR angiogram image, you can appreciate a classical tau sign. This is again the hypertrophied artery communicating posterior circulation with anterior circulation. So this is a classical case of persistent trigeminal artery giving a tau sign. Persistent trigeminal artery arises from intracavernous ICA and connects the basilar artery. It is one of the most common anomaly. It is seen in 0.1 to 0.2% individuals. There are two types, Salzmann's type 1 and Salzmann's type 2. PTA supplies distal basilar artery generally, and whenever it is supplying, proximal basilar artery is hypoplastic. In Salzmann's type 2, PTA fills superior cerebellar arteries, and posterior cerebellar arteries are supplied by patent posterior communicating arteries. Another case, this is a case of petrous apex lesion. In here it is T1 iso to slightly hyper. In T2 it is hyper with a small fluid level. Same in sagittal T1. So this is a case of petrous apex mucocele. This is because of mucosecreting glands in the petrous apex hair cells, resulting in chronic osteal obstruction. You should always differentiate it with cholesterol granuloma, which is consistently T1 hyper, and you can differentiate it with congenital cholesteatoma. This is again a common apex lesion where it shows diffusion restriction. Another case here, T2 weighted axial image, you can see multiple skin lesions in the premaxillary area, and also you can appreciate in the occipital region. So here in carotid space you can see a hyperintense lesion with central T2 hypointensity. This is classical target sign. Target lesion is mass with central low signal intensity surrounded by high signal intensity on T2 weighted. Target sign is classical finding in neurofibroma than in schwannoma, but it can occur, but it's more consistent in case of neurofibroma. This is a case of neurofibromatosis type 2. So another case, you can see in susceptibility weighted imaging, you are seeing multiple calcified lesions in the subependymal location. Here T2 weighted imaging, you are appreciating the hypointense lesions in the subependyma. Here you can see a mushroom shaped enlarged cortex and hyperintense cortex. Flare you can appreciate in the lesions in temporal lobe and in occipital lobe. So these are nothing but cerebral tumors. These are cortical and subcortical gyral lesions which expand the overlying gyri. Subependymal nodules are nothing but elongated nodules in locations of fetal germinal matrix which show increased calcium over time. These nodules enhance in 30 to 80% of individuals. You can also appreciate subependymal giant cell astrocytomas in tuberous sclerosis. Last flashcard. Here you can see T2 weighted imaging showing a hyper intense substantia nigra with T2 hypointense pars reticulata, which is paired, and also red nucleus is paired. This patient also had classical KF ring. So this is a case of Wilson's disease with panda sign, also called face of giant panda sign. This is nothing but high signal intensity in tegmentum except in the red nucleus. There will also be preservation of signal intensity in the lateral portions of pars reticulata, and ears forming the ears, and hypointensity in superior colliculus forms the mouth. Thank you very much. Hope this video was useful for you.